Okay, I'm back again. Had a nice lunch and having a cup of coffee now to fight a little bit of that mid-afternoon fatigue that you get with a had quite a big burrito. Um, anyway, so we just opened a few minutes in J period a few minutes ago. It's 2:04 p.m. Right now, J is sort of in an indecision period. It looks like it's balancing a bit, but let's just look at what happened and what may happen going forward for the rest of the afternoon, the next hour and a half or so. It is Friday, and I have not been monitoring price action exactly, so I don't know how frenetic or quiet it may be. It seems to be kind of quiet right now, but let's take a look at this first in a kind of the airplane view. Let me close this up here. I don't need this right now. Make this a little bigger for us. Okay, our VPOC is way down in the initial balance in the middle of that range. So we kind of gotten way back up here. Didn't take out the overnight high yet. Didn't take out yesterday's high. When we made the F high, I said, we might just roll over, and that may be it, or it may go up, push up a little bit more, and maybe take out the highs. Who knows, right? Only the shadow knows, I said. But what happened is we did make a little bit higher high, and it rolled over. Now, is it rolling over and taking out the low, which isn't the best low in the world? I don't know, but it could happen. However, let's just talk about some of these areas again that I put on either really early this morning or even some of them yesterday when I made fresh areas here. So let's see. The F traded off the edge of this, which is below the close. Talked about that. I was live with you talking about that at the time. G opened way down here, and about the midpoint of F, it came up off the top of this, or the bottom of this blue area here, which when we're below it, I'll have to say this again, and I don't mean to be so pedestrian for those of you who kind of already know this, but I need to make it accessible to people who are really just trying to understand what's going on here with the colors and all that kind of stuff. So when we were coming up into it, it was red. And, when we're maybe going to trade above it, want to look at it, whether you change the color or not. Whoops. It's kind of a ugly color to blue. And G, sure enough, this area held. One of the dynamics you got to watch out for is that when it's in one of these gray areas is that you might want to consider a little bit of suction, like a black hole, like it's, could suck you to the other side. Okay. Anyway, we made it up through here, made it through the close, traded a little higher, and G came down and closed right on the top of this area that was potentially going to be support now. And H opened and drove right straight back down through it. Now we'll look at the price action in a minute. But I want you to notice that H trucked on down here and some kind of long liquidation break. I'm not sure how rapid it was, but we'll look and see if it stopped on these areas on the way down. But when we got down here, and again, we'll look in a minute, if it got here and it could have gone way back up here before it got down there. But once it did get down here to the pivot point, which incidentally is the bottom of this little blue area now. Remember, when we opened up, this was red. When we opened up down here, this was red. So we came down, and this is now a support area. It's the top of the opening range, pivot point, and many other things. And came back up, and some point opened an I period. Now, we'll look back. I either traded down here to the top of this gray area, right to the tick, came all the way up to the top of this blue area, which now we would make red, right? Because we're below it. I have set some, I tried some things where if you trade through this, it would automatically change color. It doesn't seem to be working. I may have to originate these on a different chart. I'm working on it. So I don't have to do this manually. Came up here and I traded back down. At least the short was good for right here at some point where it opened up at, looks like about 90. Now J traded up, and it's traded off of this inner, the lower edge of this J. So where will J go? It could just be an inside bar, could just hang out, and then there's potential trades after that in K. But that's what's happened so far. Now, while we're looking at this, I want to I want to check out something here. We'll see whether this yields anything cool or not. I have a feeling it will. Throw a fib on here. All right. How about that? Okay, so it came out, a little bleed over the 50% line, or you could look at it as didn't quite make it as a 618. But this zone, this is why I have this color green, red, green. Call this a zone. Okay, where well, again, there's that word I don't like, the zone. I'll think of something else for this little area between the 38.2 and the 618 when you get a retracement. And I won't get too deep into that, but that's an area to consider. That may be just a pullback or a retracement, and it is something where you're going to look for other indications that things might change. Now, we're up here at the J high, the overnight VPOC, the high of I. Will they come up and take the stops here, and will it come off of this edge, which has worked before as an area of resistance, or will it go farther? So if somebody wanted to try that as a short, it may slam back down good for a couple ticks to, who knows, may slam down here, 1.5. I don't think it's going to flip over, but we'll see. So right now it's holding as a resistance area if someone was to have gotten in there. Let's see. Again, now that we've come up here, this is potentially, maybe it'll hold right here, or maybe it'll fall back down all the way down to the bottom of the edge. Don't forget the J open here. So an opening period oftentimes will acts like a spring above it, Okay, so that's that. Let's I'll look back in a minute, or no, I'll keep watching it for a second. Let me make this red because we haven't really traveled above it. Let's bring this chart in here, kind of watch the price action, how this worked. I think it might come off a little bit. How much? We'll find support right here and bounce. It's a good idea if you're in more than one position. You take one off, just take a couple ticks, take a point, whatever. If you are and then move to even, yeah, you might get shaken out, because look at that. You might get shaken out. But better that than it starts rallying against you, and then you not only lose your profits, you lose money. So okay, looking at we're going to go back now to when I made the video before. I drew these trend lines, and I drew them right when the market was trading right here. So notice how these came down right to the edge of the gray edge, and then look at this, the underside of that trend line. It kind of walked right up it, came down, held. Somebody could have taken a couple ticks. I mean, that's not necessarily right in the middle of that gray area. I wouldn't have wanted that, even though it's a trend line. Trend lines are just trend lines. They're not. You got to look at the order book. It doesn't mean that it's going to hold just because it's a visible line on the chart. So came down, came out of this area, and I'd even said, by the way, you watch the video, I said it might come down to 89.50, and it did right here. So now listen, I'm not trying to sound like some kind of guru or wizard. I'm not. I'm just, I've kind of gotten good at making a map and trying to understand the market. And some days I don't. Some days I'm way off, and I'll tell you, you'll see it. So at any rate, when it happens, I get a thrill. It's like, oh, that's cool, but it's also a little bit heady. It's like, well, if you know every tick to where it's going to go, man, I'd be a bazillionaire, but I'm not. So there's your answer. So anyway, 89.50 came down a little bit, 89.25, and then it trafficked on up. It kind of walked up this line, didn't it? And all the way up to this edge being resistance again in this trend line. It's kind of funny how it found that, which is also the lower edge of this upper one. Came back down. So again, I'm just trying to demonstrate how these areas, if I'm doing them right, they're kind of reliable. And again, I'd said this before in a video recently that, yeah, okay, this was H. And remember, H was an open drive down, and it really came all the way down here, and it looks like it came down fast. So this was probably a long liquidation break. Probably going to get either a little sideways or a bounce here. We'll see. I wasn't watching it earlier. A little sideways, okay. Retracement. Now at this point, if you believe it's going to go lower, you might want to try the edge here. Now, I don't know what the price action was. It may have come up and would have gotten you whacked. It worked. it was good for something. There you go. Little sideways and downs, what we got. Now, of course, that was on the charts. And before I started the video, you could say, oh, you looked at that. Well, I'd be dishonest if I did and pretended I didn't. And I didn't. I'm just, I'm watching it with you. If I'm not going to be sitting in front of the screen, I sometimes like to go see what happened, especially if I'm going to sit here and talk about it. Okay, so we broke through here. This level didn't hold, so somebody got long here. They probably got stopped out if they were thinking to get long. But the trend now seems to reverse to the downside. Sellers are in control. It's always important to remember who is in control. Came down. Okay, this was like a bounce, you call it. And then this held to the downside. It went down again. Let's see, 87. Okay, we still got more to go, it looks like. Okay, someone was to get long here. Well, they're taking heat. And it looks like that was the low. Does it go back down there? No, I don't know. Nope, new period. Okay, now I don't know what happened here. This is the price action. It's only a minute chart. You can do it in other types of charts, but on a smaller time frame, you can really see the price action. Looks to me like we possibly are forming a head and shoulders. So if it comes down and here and then goes up again, we're looking at having a, let me see. Got my ray. This would be the neckline. Now it may just keep going up and that pattern didn't form, but I'm thinking it might. Okay, it went up. Sometimes you have a little break over there. Okay, we got our head and shoulders. Yeah, that's good enough, head and shoulders. Now, if it goes like way down here, I think that's the low. You could readjust it here, or you could keep it here if you started to suspect it. I've noticed that works both ways. If you wait here, it's more conservative, and you might want to wait for a pullback here, and that way you're kind of got sucked into this balance area. But if you hold it here, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Okay, this trend line was kind of nice. See how it held right there? Okay, and I've shown you this little trick before. Technique. Let's call it a technique. It's not a trick. Tricks are for illusionists and stuff. So I always have been making these purple, even though it's kind of a cacophony of color here. Let's move this over here to where we really took off. So, the ones I've been doing, they haven't necessarily come exactly to that line, but it is a possible destination. Is the distance from here. You could take it from the high if you wanted to. That might have worked better. Let's see. Let's see if that fits exactly. I'd say that's pretty close. Okay. Anyway, let's see what happens. Well, there it is right there. Actually, that's the distance. I think that's about where it was. And we know it goes up from there. So again, now you got to decide, okay, now we're in a new TPO over here as well. We've got higher low, takes out the I high. I would not be necessarily wanting to short one of these now, but oh, that's where we are now. Okay, this is J. That's the end of the chart. How about that? Okay. So, wow, this video is probably going to be longer than I intended, but that was kind of fun. I'm really glad I've never done this before. I really wish I would have done that a long time ago, put these letters in here. But now that I'm doing these videos, I benefit from it too. Even if nobody listens or watches, talking it through sometimes is a way for me to think things through and also hold myself accountable because somebody might be watching. When I say hold myself accountable, I hate when people talk like that. What I mean is keep an eye on myself to keep me honest, keep me on my toes and not getting caught up by my own cognitive biases, getting sloppy. That's what I'm talking about. All right. So, well, will this hold? Will we fall back in? Possibly. This could just rotate out, we're in a balance area. So in J, we went above balance. When I say balance, let me try to hide this for a minute. Okay, see? So now we might come back down, rotate back down here along this volume. Got to watch out these little divots. There's also the value area high here where it goes from light gray to dark gray. It's the volume value area high. Sometimes traders will step in right there. If they're moving it up, that will be the move up point. This is also the halfway point of J. That's another area. Again, people don't like Fibonacci. Let me tell you, that's a 50% retracement. So, it's possible that becomes an area where buyers step in. Little dangerous. It's right in the middle of this. But one thing that I like to do sometimes is look back on the price action and I put a little rectangle around. Now I'm going to have to go this low because that's where it came back to. But this top area could hold, see, 90.75. Let's see where that is. Oh, messed that up. 90.75. Okay, couple ticks under the value area high that would be congruent with this low volume node here, the bottom of this one before there's another low volume node, and also the fact that we very often kind of get a little sloppy around. See the yellow line there? We get a little sloppy around the POCs, TPOCs. I'm going to collapse this now. And I mean, when I say a little sloppy, I meant sloppy on the edges of lines, but it's choppy. We get a little choppy around these things, but we have gone back and forth through it a number of times. Shouldn't be as bad. Anyway, it's holding right now. Let's bring this back in just to see if it goes to this level. It's either going to maybe hold here. I mean, again, it could go all the way down here, but will this 90.75 like come down here? Okay, it's broken this blue one. And will this be a place it goes up? All right, let's put a couple trend lines on here. Let's see. Tools. Let's see. All right, in time, it could come down to one of those. Let me make another one. And sometimes it just helps to do this to visualize. Okay, that's a better one. This one to this low here, where it took off from. So, you know, maybe 91, that's right there, will be, and then it walks up this line, sort of. That would be interesting to see. So watch it for a second. You know, it's holding. It's nothing exciting. If you're long, this would make me nervous. You know, if you were getting long here, unless you got in at that 91 or 91 quarter, you know, I would not be feeling the greatest yet. You know, let's see. Let me pull up my tick. Oh, that's not what I meant. Okay, we're still bullish on the tick, but that can change in a tick. All right, so far so good. How far is it going to go? You know, I'd honestly, I probably wouldn't want to try to get more than 3 ticks to a point out of this if I was planning to trade more today, because, you know, it hurts your head to get stopped out or break even, or, you know, and of course commissions will get you. So just a thought. All right, well, I'm trying to think if there's anything else to talk about before I go. There's your afternoon update. So, okie doke. Thanks for watching.